What was your turning point regarding being aware of that direct democracy approach? Was there any moment?
Yeah, I grappled with this when I was a senator. First off, I got to be a senator, and I was the one that started the nuclear critique. This is where it really happened. The nuclear industry, when I started asking questions about testing in Alaska, all of a sudden the contractor who was doing the work on Amchitka Island with the Kaneken test opened up a PR office in Anchorage and was starting to put out the message that, well, anybody that questions this nuclear testing is not patriotic. Well, who was the other person on earth that was questioning what was going on was me. They didn't use my name, but they were laying the groundworks to undercut me. Well, all that did was make me angrier and doing more investigation. So I was able to stop the testing. Good. I picketed with 2 members of the Canadian Parliament a sign in front of Richard Nixon's White House. We picketed. And this is my claim to fame on this other area, and that was that a group of, because this is an international effort, a group of citizens concerned citizens, environmentalists in Vancouver bought a boat, and they were going to sail that boat to Amchitka Island to protest. The name of that boat, and of course they had to form a corporation, and the name of the corporation was the name of the boat, Greenpeace. That's when Greenpeace started. Nice. And so my little role in history. But we were able to, and you want to know about whistleblowers. After that test, the media and the leadership of the country and the president all excoriated me. And I was a senator, I could take that. But lo and behold, somebody at the Defense Department slipped me a memo that said that, and I don't even know the person's name, didn't even want to know it. I had the memo on government stationery, and it said that the testing, they were going to do more testing, that the testing they were doing at Amchitka Island was for a warhead, a nuclear warhead that was of a missile that was obsolete. But somebody had the contract, and they're going to continue making money. Does that now tell you how the military-industrial complex operates? Whether we need it or not, they got a contract, they're going to pay the lobbyists to keep that contract going. So I could give you a lot more but now that led me into, and I don't know if we're running out of time and you want to ask another question, but this whole nuclear game. In fact, why is Obama still for nukes? After Fukushima Daiichi, which I'll tell you, the impact of that is not over by a long shot. But Obama is still for supporting nukes in the United States. Why? Well, General Electric, Immelt, sitting in the gallery next to his wife, that's the largest corporate entity dealing with nuclear activity in the world. That's the reason why General Electric and Howard Dean conspired to get me out of the debates in September of '07, because I was getting traction with the American people. And they did not want this message, because from their point of view, I'm a loose cannon. They don't know what I'll come out with next. And they're right. From their point of view, I am a cannon, and I've been after them for all of my public life. There's a book out called A Political Odyssey, which is my public life going after the military-industrial complex. Please, Mr. White.
Strategy question. In order to be effective in getting 100,000 ballot signatures here in Mass, we need to raise at least $300,000. Now, do you have any thoughts about how we might go about doing that? Because time is of a critical nature here.
Well, we're stuck in a situation where we almost need angels. You know what an angel is politically? That's the guy that's got a big checkbook that will write a $100,000 check or $50,000 check. We got a pledge from a guy who's a movie star. I won't go into his name because we haven't got the money yet. But it was supposed to have moved yesterday. But that's only $50,000. As George, I think, pointed out, we got a cash flow looking us in the face of $40,000 a week for 6 weeks. That's a big number.
And it would include that $50,000 because that's your foreign money.
Pardon me?
That would be foreign money, so when that
We can
50,000
raise, we approach the Attorney General of the United States, and can we raise foreign money? And there's no prohibition against it in the United States.
Oh, very good.
No prohibition. Now, if you're a political candidate running, you can. Now, a person would say, well, why would you use foreign money? Well, here, 90 nations lost citizens at the World Trade Center.
Right.
90 different nations. I know 23 were Canadian. And I just come from a meeting in Toronto, a 5-day meeting with George here, and we had more PhDs you could shake a stick at giving testimony to a group of PhDs, and one of them was the Chief Justice of the Italian Supreme Court Emeritus, and he was there putting these people under the magnifying glass. So no, the effect of 9/11 was global. And I happen to know that there was a poll taken earlier this year in Germany, and 89% of the Germans did not believe the American government's storyline over 9/11. These Germans believe it was a false flag operation. Well, all I can tell you is there's more foreigners that are suspicious of our government than Americans are suspicious. And that's a sad reflection. That's because I referred to earlier that what we have is the military-industrial complex has acculturated our society to a militarism. To run the flag up, salute the boys. Well, if they really cared about the American soldier, they would take him out of Afghanistan, they would take him out of Iraq. And of course, if they really cared about justice, they would do away with these contracts to the Blackwater types who are both in Afghanistan and in Yemen and other places. We have to stop going around the world killing people and pay attention to ourselves. We have Americans that are hurting. And the fear that goes abroad, whenever you go through an airport and you go through that charade, I gotta tell you, that is designed to keep you in fear. You have a greater likelihood by 1,000 times of getting cancer than ever being damaged by a terrorist. And one of the questions that was asked in the course of the last presidential election, and I happened to be the last one of the 8 standing there, and they said, well, who are our enemies? Well, everybody, including Obama and Hillary, well, it's North Korea, it's Iran, they named the usual suspects. When it got to me, and I just felt so good that they all expended their best shot, I said, we don't have enemies. We go out and create our enemies. That's what we do in this country. And so that's what has to stop. And of course, Obama got elected, Hillary got to be Secretary of State. We continue to create our enemies. They're trying to gin up a war with Iran. I could go into a major seg onto Iran, but that's not the time to do it. Yeah.
Deb, please.
Yes, hello. Hi, Mike. My name is Deb Chandler.
Is Deb?
Deb Chandler.
Deb, okay.
Yes. I know I've watched a lot of the films and I've read a lot of the information that does conflict with the official story of what happened on September 11th. I'm thinking that some of the folks who might be watching this program aren't familiar with some of that probably irrefutable evidence. And I'm wondering if here we could mention a few of the things and mention maybe the website that has the, for example, the architects and engineers.
I'd like to have you answer, George answer it. I'm going to stick to politics. Okay. That's my strong suit.
Okay.
I'm going to read the endorsement from Stephen Jones, the physicist, who investigated.
But where to go, to give her where to go other than your testimony.
The architects and engineers website.
Yeah.
Oh, there's ae911truth.org.
Got good stuff.
Flybynews.com has a very good investigative news resource on 9/11, and 911cc.org is the plan. So,
and again, to reiterate, ae911truth.org.
9-11.org.
And this is what Jones said, because
cc.org.
he's an authority as far as I'm concerned, and sincere.
Richard Gage?
No, Stephen Jones. Full professor of physics, Brigham Young University. He's retired. I fully endorse the call for a significant investigation of 9/11 with subpoena power and free of federal government interference. There are many Americans and others who will testify under oath and allow us to find out. 1. Why were there no air defenses that day? 2. Why did WTC-7 fall at free fall acceleration for over 100 feet? 3. Who was involved in the put options on United and American Airlines just before 9/11? 4. How did active thermitic material end up in the WTC dust in abundance? 5. Who ordered the destruction of the WTC steel, the evidence of the great crime against America? And he's one of the professors that did a peer review article in Open Chemical Physics Journal regarding the thermite that was discovered by 4 different sources in New York City right after the WT. And I'm also going to show the Bob Bowman 3-minute insert that shows BBC reporting that this building fell before it fell. And when you see it fall, that's all you have to do. Remember, building7.org is another website for seeing the obvious.
Sorry, if I could also mention, I believe that the testimony given at the Toronto hearings is available in archive on their website too.
Right, and that's
Toronto.
flybynews.com. If you go under critical breaking news, I have it linked to the YouTube presentations of Senator Gravel and others that you can catch.
There was
it's beautiful.
the woman scientist that talked about the nanothermite.
Yes.
I'll add a little mind trick if people have a hard time remembering some of the things. Remember the word phase, P-H-A-S-E.
Good. Go ahead.
And P is for pulverization. What we saw when the building started to fall was utter total pulverization of all the concrete, which then turned into a mushroom cloud as the steel collapsed inside. So pulverization is P. H is heat. There was molten steel in the basement of the Twin Towers and Building 7 for 3 months, till December 10th, the last fire was put out. And they attempted to put those fires out by pouring lakes, as they said, of water into the basement, and they were unable to put those fires out. Molten steel burned for 3 months in the basements. So pH, pulverization, heat. A is acceleration. Those buildings accelerated as gravity would allow in free fall speed. Building 7, NIST agreed finally, 10 stories, 100 feet, it fell at free fall acceleration into its own footprint. That's the S, symmetry. But the acceleration means that there was no resistance. No resistance for 10 stories, 100 feet. That means that all supports were removed instantaneously, globally throughout the building. So S is symmetry. They fell into their own footprint.
I'm tired.
And E, finally, is ejection. One would think if those buildings were just falling as a force of gravity, that there wouldn't have been steel girders weighing 2 tons ejected the length of 2 football fields and impaled into neighboring buildings. So, I mean, this isn't spring steel we're talking about. These steel girders didn't go boing and spring over there. They were blown out. So, P-H-A-S-E, phase, pulverization, heat, acceleration, symmetry, and ejection.
Well, we have another program this evening. I just want to thank everyone that came here and anybody watching this interview. And Senator, this has been a pleasure to be with you and an honor.
Pleasure's mine.
And we're together. And George Ripley,
Nice to meet you, Jonathan. Thanks.
And thank you very much.